Okay, today we're going to look at the Ruger Airhawk spring piston air rifle. Like most spring pistons out there, this one is a brake barrel. I'm not going to break the barrel because I'm going to drop it on this table and break the sights. But I'm quite impressed by this rifle. It's quite accurate, it's well built. It's easy to shoot. It's the right size for me, so if you're a little kid, like 12 years old, maybe this isn't the best rifle for you because it does have quite a long length of pull, which is how long the distance between the grip and the end of the buttstock is. For a child, this might be a bit too much, but if you're an adult, this will be a great fit for you. First thing we're going to talk about is the construction of this. It's made completely out of metal and wood except for the trigger guard, the trigger blade, and the front and rear sights, but all the internal mechanism parts are all metal. Oh, and the safety is also plastic too. But other than that, it's all metal and wood. It has a rubber recoil pad on it, which if you're using the artillery hold you won't be using, it's just there for aesthetics. If you don't know what the artillery hold is, I suggest you Google it or check out my video called How to Grip a Springer. Once you master this, you'll wonder how you ever shot without it, because your groups will shrink so much and it'll be a lot more enjoyable for you. And about the stock of this, the stock has quite a nice finish on it. It's a nice dark brown color. I'm not sure what kind of wood this is. Probably beech. I know it's not walnut. It's probably beech. The only complaint I have about this stock is that it does scuff a little bit easily. Like I have a couple nicks on here, one on the cheek piece. I have one on the front up here. But other than that, it's a very nice stock. It has a nice, the pistol grip is very comfortable on it, not like some of the other rifles like a wrist, like 500, the Winchester 500 XS. It doesn't really have a pistol grip. As you can see, it just has a wrist, they call it. And for shooting standing, it isn't too bad. But I find if you're going prone or sitting, it isn't very comfortable. But the Ruger Airhawk, that does not happen. This gun is quite accurate if you use the artillery hold. If you don't, you can't expect too much accuracy out of it. This is a group that I shot with it the other day in the sitting position at 15 yards. That's 7 or 8 shots. I don't remember how many. 7 or 8 shots. That's pretty good for a $120 air gun. The trigger on this gun is adjustable, which is kind of a rare feature in an air gun in this price range. It's a 2-stage trigger. I'll cock it for you just a second. Now, I don't recommend cocking it and dry firing all the time, but I'm just doing one, so it shouldn't be a problem. The first stage is very light, no effort to pull it at all. And then the second stage, which is the stage that actually does the releasing of the sear to release the spring, is also quite short. It's quite light. That can be adjusted for weight and pull. I like the trigger. It took me a little while to get used to it because most of my other guns don't have 2-stage triggers, but once I get used to it, I think it is actually better than a single-stage trigger. The open sights on this gun are my other complaint. I am used to them now, and they're better than... I bought this gun to replace my Beeman 1040 because I didn't like the open sights on my Beeman 1040, and I also did not like the trigger. The trigger in the Beeman 1040, as I talked about in my review for it, is a really terrible trigger. It's the biggest downfall of that rifle. But this rifle has a nice trigger, and the open sights are a lot better. The front sight on this gun is one of the things I liked about it whenever I was shopping for it. It is still not protected by a hood, but it's a lot stronger than the one in the Beeman 1040. The Beeman 1040's open sight, I'm amazed that it's still intact because all it takes is a slight little bump and then that thing's broken. But on this rifle, the sights are quite nice. They're fully adjustable for windage and elevation. The clicks are very positive locking, and they're numbered so you know which way is up and which way is down, and which way is left and which way is right. The rear sight is a little bit on the flimsy side. I don't know if you can see this on the video, but right here is a very thin piece of plastic. It supports the whole back of the sight, and if you drop this, it would probably most likely snap it. But as long as you're careful and you don't drop your rifles all the time, Shouldn't be a problem. These sights are much clearer than the Beeman 1040 If on the Beeman 1040, when you look through the sights, even if you're focusing on the front sight like you should, everything is blurry because the front sight is so small. It's paper thin, and then there's just a fiber optic tube, and I find it's harder to aim with. I could never shoot groups like this with the Beeman 1040. Never. The recoil of this gun, as I mentioned, this is a spring piston air gun, and like all spring piston air guns, believe it or not, even if you're a firearm shooter and you think this is bull, spring piston air guns, even the weaker ones, do kick, and they will throw off your shots. Which is why you use the artillery hold, because spring pistons kick backwards just slightly, and they kick forwards, and if you're holding it tight to your shoulder like a firearm, it's going to pull the gun off target every single time in a different direction. So I really suggest you check out the artillery hold or my video on how to grip a springer. They're both basically the same technique. And this gun shoots at 495 feet per second. It's .177 caliber. I should have mentioned that earlier, I guess, but anyway, I'm mentioning it now. But the recoil isn't. It's as far as springers in the 495 feet per second velocity range go, it does kick relatively hard. But if you're using artillery hold, it won't matter. The safety on this gun is automatic. Every time you cock the rifle, the safety is engaged. The safety is right here. Whenever you cock the rifle, it pushes this little button back here, and all you have to do is push it back into fire. Now that might be annoying for some of you, but I think it's a good feature, because if you're not in the habit of putting your safety on after every shot, you're going to be in the habit of it. Or you won't be in the habit of it, but you're going to do it for you, so it is a good safety feature. And unlike some of my other guns, the automatic safety, whenever it's still cocked, whenever the barrel is still bent, opened, you can disengage the safety to decock it. Which I think is a really good feature. Like the Winchester 500 XS, you can't do that. You can only disengage the safety once the breech is closed and you're ready to fire. And the advantage of that, though, is that you don't accidentally pull the trigger whenever the barrel is broken open and destroy your stock, because that's what can happen if you open your breech and then you pull the trigger. It can shatter the front end of the stock where the screw is, and you'll have to get a new stock, which isn't cheap. As I said before, the stock is quite nice. My only complaint is that it does scuff rather easily. And on this rifle, there are 3/8 dovetail rails on it for mounting a scope. I believe the 3/8 dovetail might be 11mm actually. I'm not really sure which, but anyway, they're this long. You can mount a scope or red dot on them. A scope I really suggest is the Leapers 3-12 by 44 mini SWAT size scope. It's a great scope. It is a little bit expensive, but I think it's well worth it. I have that on my Winchester 500 XS. I did a review for it way back. It's on my YouTube channel. This scope rail does have a scope stop on it, which is a really good thing for the recoil, because the recoil will push the scope off the rails of a springer if you're not careful. Anyway, that's the end of this review. In a few weeks I'll probably have a review for a gun that I have ordered right now that's still on its way, the Crosman Night Stalker, the Canadian version. So probably in a few weeks I'll have that up for you. Anyway, shoot safe and have fun.